What's up everyone? It's Cameron back again with another infotainment system tutorial and review. Today I'm sitting in a 2021 Ford F-150 XLT. This particular truck has the upgraded 12-inch touchscreen as you can see here. And among other things, it has several upgrades like the 360 camera views, the upgraded power inverter, it has the max tow package, a couple other things that will also be shown and demonstrated in this infotainment system. But today I'm going to give you a walkthrough of the infotainment system itself on this truck, which should be very similar for all like XLT trucks between 2021 and 2023, these Sync 4 units, at least at the time of this review. So let's go ahead and dive on in. All right, now, before I dive into the interface itself, a couple of quick observations about this infotainment system. This is obviously Ford's Sync 4 system. This is a major upgrade to the previous Sync 3 system. And one of the most noticeable differences that I've found here is speed. This unit is much more powerful. It's more responsive. It's faster than all of the older Sync 3 units. It's also capable of running across virtually all of the other size screens and units in Ford's lineup. That includes Mach-E's 15-inch touchscreen and some of the newer F-150's larger touchscreen, so it's capable of running on all of those various systems. Just a couple of things that I wanted to mention, but let's go ahead and dive on into the interface. And one of the first things that you're going to notice about this system is that there isn't really a home. It's going to default to the last audio source that you listened to when you exited the vehicle. That could be CarPlay, Android Auto, and whatever you visited. I'm going to go to the audio tab here on the quick menu, which I'll get into in a little bit. But another cool feature on these Sync 4 systems is this split screen concept and information cards on the right here. You can run through the various information cards and features in the truck at any time through any of the features that you're looking at or engaging with on the main screen. By using the arrows here, you can navigate through each of them. Bed camera, for example, you can go and activate the bed camera, the zone lighting, all of the features, most of the features that we'll go through in here are accessible on this info card or split screen on the right hand side. And that includes things like navigation as well. And then this other tab here, this quick card, it gives you another way to access and change or navigate, scroll through the various features. Select one and it's going to appear on the screen here. So pretty cool. And one also little neat feature here, this caret on the left, for certain info cards on this split screen, you're going to notice that this little icon will switch from a bar, like a straight bar, a vertical bar, to a caret. That caret means that you can expand this particular information full screen. In this case, navigation, I'll demonstrate this for you. It's going to take over that screen, and what it's actually going to do is swap the features. So I was on FM radio, I clicked on that caret, expanded the navigation to the full screen, and it actually swapped the information between these two cards. And you can do that for any information or feature that has that caret available to you. And you can see there's a number of them. Now, another cool feature, not necessarily specific to navigation or this info card, the split screen feature, but another cool feature about this infotainment system that's worth noting is its over-the-air updates. I'll show you this in a little bit, but this system has a 4G LTE connection, and Ford can push all of their software updates directly through to the system wirelessly while it's parked in a parking lot or in the garage. Recently, an example here, recently there was an update that added Amazon Alexa to this system, among other things. And that was a feature that was free, and it did it overnight without interrupting my experience, my driving experience at all. So no more trips to the dealer for some of these software updates, which is a great thing because these infotainment systems have a lot of features. There could be a bug, for example, but they're also improving and adding features over time. So that over-the-air update system, it uses a 4G LTE connection at any time, so that Ford can push all of those updates directly through this system wherever you are, and doesn't require you to go into the dealer. So I'm going to go ahead and go through some of the key features of this unit in order of the quick menu down here. This quick menu is static, meaning you can't adjust the order of these icons, with the exception of the center one. This is an adjustable, this phone list. That's what I have it set to. The center one, you can edit and change that and make that an icon or a feature of your choice. So let's start out with the audio tab on the bottom left. Now in this section, you're gonna have a few options for your audio sources, typical things like AM radio, FM radio, right? With pretty standard tuning and presets down at the bottom here, but it also has Sirius XM, Bluetooth audio if you're connected to a device. Let's go into Sirius though real quick. Now Sirius, this is a nice quick interface, but what I like about this is that it has this personalized For You tab, which is going to personalize the various channels in Sirius XM. It's going to tailor it to what you like based on what your historical channels that you've listened to, something that's newer to the Sync 4 units. But you can also browse through categories like music, and it's going to give you, well, categories within a category, things like holiday music, pop, all of the genres of the music. And when you select that, it's going to structure and show you all of the available the channels within that genre of music. But you also have sports, news, talk, and so on. So you can listen or browse through the stations by the category of your choice. Something that's also worth noting though is that the bottom, I'll go back to here, the bottom, the tuning presets down here at the bottom are for any of those radio sources. It could be FM, it could be AM, it could be Sirius. You can have, these are static. If you're on the, for example, if you're in the FM section or the FM source, you're going to see this same preset, and you can see these are FM stations, and then you can see a couple of blended. This is a Sirius XM station, so you can set any of the stations from FM, AM, or Sirius onto this preset bar, and you have 2 pages of presets for a total of 10. Last one I'll touch on here is Amazon Alexa. Now, Amazon Alexa is a relatively new feature. It was released, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago, mid-2023. But this basically allows you to access Alexa and ask for it to stream music via Amazon or other music sources, but it also gives you the ability to access any of the other voice commands that you would use on a typical Alexa unit, which is pretty neat. So now, it's something worth noting here is that this does require the truck to have a paid internet plan. Otherwise, it's not going to work as you would expect. I don't have that internet plan on the truck at the moment, so I'm not going to go through it. But in general, this brings all of those features that Alexa has to your truck, including commands that you might use at home for smart home devices. You could say, Alexa, open up my garage, Alexa, turn off the lights, those sort of things. As long as this is hooked up to the same account as your smart home and all of those devices, you can use this as the voice command features of Alexa in your truck to access all of those voice commands that you would do at home. The next one down here is CarPlay. That's what this shows right now because I'm connected to an Apple iPhone. So this system does come Apple CarPlay and Android Auto ready. It's wireless or wired. So my phone isn't connected to anything right now. You can see that, but you could use USB to hook up and access CarPlay and Android Auto. And by the way, while I'm on that note, this truck has both USB-C and USB plugs down below the infotainment system for easy access. So if you have the old USB or the new USB-C plugs, it's going to be compatible with this truck. Now, I won't get too into depth with CarPlay and Android Auto in this tutorial. It's a standard interface across virtually every head unit right now. So, but in general, it's a great feature that gives you access to apps like Google Maps, Apple Music, Waze, Spotify, Pandora, much more. It streamlines your wireless calling too, makes it a much safer interface while you're driving. It's on this truck, it's quick, it's responsive. However, I have noticed a very slight delay in the audio when it comes to music. Something that I noticed is when I was playing a YouTube video on my phone, I'm looking at my phone. No, this doesn't play video, but I'm looking at my phone, and the words on the video aren't exactly matching the audio that's coming through this system. The audio quality itself is perfect, but there is a very slight delay. Otherwise, though, it works great. Also, while we're in Apple CarPlay, another cool trick here on this Sync 4 unit, if you wanted to take this CarPlay or Android full screen and remove this info card and split screen on the right, there's a full screen icon at the top left. Selecting that will extend it all the way and expand it 100%. This makes it even easier to visualize, to see things like maps or all the other apps that you might have on your CarPlay or Android Auto while you're using it. And when CarPlay or Android Auto isn't available for whatever reason, this icon down here will actually turn to phone. It's just going to say phone instead, which means it defaults back to Bluetooth if your device isn't connected via CarPlay or Android Auto or doesn't support it. So if you have a Bluetooth, a phone that supports Bluetooth, for whatever reason it doesn't support Android Auto or CarPlay, you still have access to wireless calling and audio. It's just not going to show CarPlay or Android Auto. It's going to display a phone. Now let's talk a little bit about the navigation next. That's the navigation icon down below right next to the CarPlay. And first off, this is just like the rest of the system on Sync 4. This is a very responsive and more detailed look at maps than the Sync 3 maps. It looks better, it feels better. You can just tell that this is a more powerful system by, the responsiveness and the detail on the maps. You can do things like search for points of interest by tapping on that search button and then typing your destination in here, you can see. But also below that search bar, you have various categories of points of interest, which will show you the top. It'll actually show you the top Yelp. Let me find something relevant. It'll show you the top Yelp locations when you go in and start to search for something. So I clicked on fast food, and you can see it's going to show all of the local food, in this case fast food, and all of the Yelp reviews for them. Quick and easy, and also nice for things like food. Had like coffee shops as well as a category, so you can access those very quickly through this interface, or you can use the voice control on the steering wheel to ask the system to find the nearest gas station, to find the nearest fast food, or parking ATM. You can use the voice control to access those things as well. Let's just tap another destination here. I'm going to go to gas stations, and I'm going to go ahead and start the
obey traffic laws.
Now you can see
it's
going to give you audio voice commands if you want. I'm going to go ahead and turn that down. You can control the prompt volume separately of other volumes like your music and your phone calls. I turned that down. But now you can see it's a pretty simple interface, right? Very clean. Now, one quick thing I did want to demonstrate on the bottom right here, similar to that Apple CarPlay expansion, you can expand this full screen and get a better look at your detailed route and just the maps in general. And you can obviously go through and scroll through where you're going to go. And so on, and then to cancel your destination or the route that you selected, you're going to click on the X button down below on the bottom left, right? Now let's click on the menu 2 here. In the menu, you have a bunch of customization or personalization features for this Sync 4 navigation. Things like map orientation, which will change the way that the map is facing and whether or not it's 3D or not. You have voice control. You heard that. You can turn it off with the volume, but you can also do the difference between voice only, tones only, or voice and tones. You also have traffic. So since this is a 4G LTE unit, it'll show you the traffic on the map. You can turn that on or off. And avoidances. So avoid on the route. What this is going to do is it's going to allow you to avoid things like highways, toll roads. If you want to avoid tolls and the price of tolls, you can select that, and it's going to direct you to your destination without taking toll roads. So you can avoid all of those various things on your route and set that into the unit in a static way. Below that, so things to show on the map. Now, this is a cool one, because if you wanted to show things or points of interest like gas stations or fast food, for example, I went through fast food, ATMs on the map while you're driving so that you can see them maybe off the highway. You can place those, and it's going to show you them on the navigation while you kind of drive by them, just to give you an idea of where they're at. The other cool one here is trailer optimized routing. Not sure if this is specific to this truck, since it does have the max tow package, but I assume not. But you can tell the navigation to give you a trailer optimized route, which it'll consider things like tight turns, U-turns or something, or otherwise like a less than ideal path for a large trailer. You can set that and enable it here if you wanted to. And also another cool thing, weather. Since this comes back to this 4G LTE capability, but it shows the current weather forecast for your location. And another really cool thing is you can see what it is now, what it's going to be, 5-day forecast. But one of the cool things that I really liked too about the weather is this radar map. Now, similar to what you'd look at like on a weather map, it's going to show you the radar map with rain, ice, snow, etc. on top of the current map. So this is a really cool little feature that I actually didn't know about until I really started to dig into each of these features themselves. And obviously it's a clear day, so it's not going to layer anything on top of it, but you can see all of the various radar or weather related radar maps and warnings directly through this weather feature on the screen. And in the other section here, more settings, there's a bunch of other things in here, some things like privacy, some more routing and map preferences, like whether or not to always route you through the HOV lane. You have alerts, you have predictive destinations. Let's say you frequently go back and forth to work at a certain time of the day, it's going to automatically put that in there. If you have that combined with like the traffic, it's going to route you around traffic in a predictive way if you do those trips every day. So pretty cool. I'm going to go back to the main map. For an OEM navigation, I really like the level of customization that Ford brought to the Sync 4 UI. It's quick, it's intuitive, it's very well integrated with the other features of the truck, like towing and such, which I think is very unique versus using Google Maps. I think the reality is that for a lot of people, when you're using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, you use what you know, which is Google Maps or Waze or Apple Maps, right? But Ford's navigation here definitely has a couple of features beyond what some of those apps on your phone will have, and it integrates much better, into the truck in general. So next thing, I talked about this earlier, this customizable menu app on the quick menu down here. It's set to phone list right now to make switching between different phones in the car easily. You can do that. If you have multiple phones, let's say your friend or your wife are in the car and you want to switch over to their Apple CarPlay, it's going to do that. I'll select it. That's what's selected on this particular vehicle as that quick icon. But you saw I tapped it, and now this turns into edit. And if you select edit again, this is actually going to show you all of the various features of the truck that you can select as your quick icon here. And if you tap on another one, let's change it from phone list. Say I want towing in there. It replaces it, and now that is the quick icon that'll stay with the infotainment system for the near future until you change it again. I'm going to change it back to phone list, but it's pretty nice, a nice feature. You know, I think you're always going to probably have that one thing on your truck that you're going to use frequently that might not necessarily be here. It might be in the features, which I'll get into, but that's a nice little cool feature that brings a touch of customizability to this infotainment system. Again, I could be wrong, but for the most part, I don't know. I don't think you'll be touching this app section. But let's move on to the settings. There's a lot of things in here too, 2 pages worth, but I'll try to keep this quick. You have things like Sirius XM. Those are all the settings for that particular audio source. But phone list, I kind of touched on this, but you can switch between different phones on the fly here. And whether or not you are using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto for that particular device. You can also add a phone down here. You have your sync navigation, which we went through while we were talking about the nav. But sound, let's talk about a couple of notable things. First off, tone settings, very straightforward. Treble, mid-range, bass, a little bit of control over your system. Audio enthusiasts, this isn't going to be near the level of control that you're going to want, but this is the basics. It's pretty straightforward, very common format. Balance and fade, pretty straightforward as well. This is going to adjust the volume of your speakers based on the location that you select. Next, you also have speed compensated volume, which is, all this does is add volume. As your truck goes faster, it's going to get louder. It's another common feature. You can set the responsiveness, whether it's low, medium, or high. Excuse my voice. I'm getting over a bit of a cold here. So jump back into the settings, but the next one I want to go through is the vehicle settings. There's a lot in here. This is where you're going to find a variety of toggles and settings for things like alerts, lighting, locks, keypad code for the outside of the door, my key, and a lot more. I'll go into a few of these, starting with the remote start. This truck does have remote start. This is the remote start setup. In here you can turn on and off remote start in general, but you can also do things like set up your climate control to auto. So if it's hot out, it's going to put the AC on. If it's cold out, it's going to put the heat on. Last settings too, you could do. I keep it, I would probably keep it on auto. You can do the same thing for seats. And then you can also set the duration, the maximum duration for remote start when you hit that remote start functionality on your remote control. So a couple things you can go through there. Below this, you have wipers. And in this section, you have what's called courtesy wipe. Basically what this is it's going to give you a few extra swoops after you apply your windshield fluid. You can turn that on and off. And you can turn on and off, your rain sensing, which is what's going to set the speed of the wiper, depending on the weather and how much rain it senses. Down below that, you have lighting. All the lighting in your options and functionality in your vehicle, things like auto high beam, daytime running lamps, DRL, welcome lighting, your auto lamp delay, things like zone lighting, and so on. And then I'm going to scroll a little bit. You can see there's a couple more, two more locks. Now this is where you're going to control things like auto unlock or auto lock, mislock, chirp. If let's say your one of your doors is open and you lock the door, it's going to give you a chirp. You have also what's called switch inhibit, which prevents someone from unlocking the vehicle from the inside of the vehicle. That's turned off, seems creepy. And then down at the bottom, you have you can tell your truck whether to just unlock the driver door or all doors when you hit that unlock button. So a couple of controls that are important. Now let's go to general settings next. Two quick things here worth noting. For one is the touch button beep. If you like that touch button beep, you can turn it on, or if you don't hear that, you can turn it off. But also, then the last thing here, if for one reason or not or another, you need to reset this infotainment system, do a hard or a full factory reset, or just clear the Ford Pass connection. Let's say you're selling the vehicle, turning it in, you're going to want to do this, at least the Ford Pass. You can go and reset the entire system to the factory defaults. Next is display. This is a pretty straightforward one. You can turn the screen completely off here and touch to re-engage. You can set it to a calm screen if you're, traveling at night and you need something a little bit more mellow. You can tap to re-engage again. And then you have brightness, screen brightness, and then mode, which is, when the dimmer engages. Typically, when you turn on the headlights, it's going to dim the screen, and sort of vice versa. So that's going to give you the dimmer mode. Let's scroll on to the next page. Connectivity. So connectivity is where you're going to find all of the Ford GLT related features on this truck, and connectivity in general. Wireless app protection here at the right here. This does not mean you're going to be able to project your screen onto this head unit. I just want to call this out because I think there's some confusion about what this actually is. All this does is enables your Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Both of those leverage Wi-Fi to work, really, to display that Apple CarPlay screen and the Android Auto. So all this does is show the details of that connection and allow you to enable it and disable it. It doesn't do things like, mirror your screen or anything. And then below this, you have your Wi-Fi. All this does is allow you to connect your truck to your local or your home Wi-Fi. The main benefit here is really just for software updates. This is going to connect to your home Wi-Fi, and what it's going to do is it's going to download those software updates overnight or at whatever time of the day while the truck is sitting in your garage or outside your garage, and it's going to update the system. And let's say you might live in an area where service is bad for this particular system, that 4G LTE system that's built in. This will help with that and ensure that your updates are made at your home. Even if you don't, or even if this unit doesn't get those, it doesn't get service. So this truck also does come with ready for a hotspot. This is a paid subscription after the first year or so of owning the truck, but it's going to enable an LTE hotspot directly from the truck. So you can hook up all your devices, your laptop if you want, whatever that might be. So this is all the settings for that particular hotspot, things like the name of the network, the password, and so on. And then I talked about the mobile apps earlier, but let's talk about software updates. I talked about these as well, but you can enable or disable those automatic updates for whatever reason if you want, or you can set them to run on a recurring schedule. Let's say 2 a.m. in the morning, you can set those up here. Ford Assistant, this is for your voice control. Ford does have its own voice control, but when you hook up to CarPlay and Android Auto, it's gonna blend the two together. So, and what I mean by that is if you have Apple CarPlay and you want to use Siri, you're gonna use the same voice control button on the steering wheel, but instead of tapping it is gonna always engage the Ford Assistant, but you're gonna hold it for CarPlay or Android Auto, and that's gonna give you access to Siri or Google. But this is, in particular, this setting is for the Ford Assistant. I'll just note one thing. It has a wake word listen, and you can set what that wake word is. You can do the okay Ford pass, okay Ford sync, right? And it did it while I was doing that. Hello Ford, you can set that. Keep that turned off for now. But that's this is all related to the built-in Ford voice recognition and assistant settings. Similarly, Amazon Alexa, you can set the listen for wake up word on here as well. A couple other settings specific to the Amazon Alexa setup, and you can. This is where you're going to sign in and sign out to Amazon Alexa on the truck. And then finally, you have valet mode. So let's say you're engaging you're giving the truck to a valet guy. You want to lock this infotainment system. By enabling valet, it's going to lock the infotainment system behind a pin. So you're going to set that pin, and what it's going to do is disable the infotainment system to the bare minimum. So if you didn't want anyone, messing around with the infotainment system, you're worried about, your phone is still connected to it, right? And maybe, this can access your phone from, let's say, 30 feet away. If messages are coming through, the valet might still see those. So you can turn this into valet mode and basically handicap the infotainment system until you get back into the truck, type in that 4-digit PIN, and re-enable the infotainment system. And that's it for the settings. So the last area I'm going to go through is the features and the features of the truck. This might be a little bit specific to the packages that you purchase the truck with, the upgrades that you purchase. But I'll start with the driver assistance. This area looks a little bit more like settings, but here you can control things like auto hold at a stoplight. You can turn on and off things like adaptive cruise control, your speed limit assist, the lane keeping intensity. That's how intense it responds to drifting outside of the lane. A lot in here, but basically all the configurations for the various driver assistant related features on the truck that come with the package of the truck. In this particular case, it's virtually everything because this truck is fully loaded. It's a fully loaded XLT. I'll go back. And now in the next one, you might notice there's a bit of a shake to the camera now. I've turned the truck on to access the Pro Power onboard. This is the built-in power inverter, and you can see a real-time feed of your power inverter, the output, the amount of output that's being, or the draw that's on the system. This truck has been upgraded. It has the upgraded inverter and generator, let's say, which is capable of putting out up to 2,000 watts or around 2,000 watts. But you can turn this stuff on and off. Here you can perform tests and so on directly from this interface. I'm going to go ahead and turn the truck back off to stop with the shake. The zone lighting is a really cool one to me. You can independently turn on and off each of the zone lighting of your truck. That includes your headlights, the sides, your bed lights, and the lights in the rear. But you can also control all of this stuff here via the mobile app on your phone, which is cool too for me. So you don't even have to be in the truck to turn the tailgate lights on or the headlights on. You can do that from your phone as long as the truck has, service. Towing is a big one here too. This area allows you to add and remove or edit trailers, perform things like trailer light checks too. You can see trailer light check. So you can check all the lights on your trailer without having your buddy or your wife in the car hitting the brakes. Down at the bottom, trailer sway control, which is cool too. I've never actively seen this engage in the truck, but it's meant to assist you with that trailer sway between, using throttle and brake manipulation to do that. But it'll reduce the trailer sway when you're towing, and it can sense the trailer swaying, and it's going to counteract that. And then finally, down here, you have the owner's manual Ford has done away with all of the comprehensive paper manuals, and instead has provided this feature. I personally love this feature. You don't have to sift through a physical book and go through the table of contents to find something. You can just use like categorically a visual search, or simply just type in what you're looking for. Like if you want to look up the oil capacity and viscosity, it's going to search and you're going to find those respective areas in here, and it's going to tell you all of those details. Very easy to find. I actually love this feature. It's much easier to find something. It's very interactive and easy to use. So that's all that I had for you and this Sync 4 on this XLT. I hope you found this walkthrough and tutorial informative. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button below if you want to keep up with other cool car stereo walkthroughs, product reviews, and cool installations. Thanks for watching.